All right, let's dive into Azure security and governance. Now, instead of just running through a dry list of services, we're going to frame this as a real strategic defense plan. Think of it like this. We're building our very own digital fortress in the cloud. So let's get to it. So let me just start with this question. How do you protect a fortress in this day and age? It's not just about one big wall, right? A real fortress, a good one, has moats. It has gatehouses, internal walls, watchtowers, all these layers. Your cloud security should be exactly the same, and that metaphor is going to be our guide today. And this lays it out perfectly. Just like a real castle, our digital one has multiple layers of defense. It all starts with the physical security of the data centers themselves. Then you've got who can even approach the gates. That's your identity and perimeter. Once inside, you have network controls. And right at the very heart of it all, the data itself. The crown jewels. Now, there's a professional term for this whole fortress strategy. It's called defense in depth. And the philosophy is simple. Security isn't about one single point of failure. It's about creating multiple, overlapping layers of protection. So if one layer gets breached, another one is already there, ready to stop an attack in its tracks. This is absolutely fundamental to how Azure security is designed. So here's our game plan, our roadmap for building this thing. First, we'll guard the gates. Then we'll move inside to control the interior. After that, we'll lay down the law with governance, set up a watchtower for monitoring, and finally, we'll look at the trust and compliance side of things. All right, section 1, guarding the gates. This is all about controlling who is allowed to even approach and enter our fortress. This is our first, and you could argue, most important line of defense against the outside world.
Okay, this is so important because these two words get mixed up constantly. Authentication and authorization. Authentication is simply answering the question, who are you? It's like showing your passport. It just proves your identity. But authorization, that's about what can you do? That's your travel visa. It grants you specific permissions once you're inside. You absolutely need both.
So who's the one checking the passports at our fortress gate? Well, that's Azure Active Directory, or Azure AD. It's Microsoft's massive cloud identity service, and its main job is handling authentication. It verifies every single user and application, and this is the foundation for things you've definitely heard of, like multi-factor authentication, which is kind of like a guard asking for a second form of ID, just to be extra sure. So if Azure AD is the gatekeeper checking IDs, then Azure Firewall is the massive front gate and the moat itself. It's a managed service that inspects all the traffic coming in and going out. You set the rules and it filters everything, blocking the bad stuff before it even gets close to your network. It's an incredibly powerful first barrier. Okay, so we've secured the perimeter. We're inside the main walls. But the job is not done, not even close. A smart ruler knows that security is also about controlling movement within the fortress. You can't just let anyone wander into the treasury, right? And this is where network security groups, or NSGs, come into play. Just think of them as internal guards posted at the doors of every important building inside the castle walls. An NSG is basically a simple firewall that filters traffic between your resources, say between your web servers and your databases, making sure they only talk to each other in ways you've specifically allowed. Now, trying to manage rules for hundreds of individual guards would be a total nightmare. And that's exactly what application security groups, or ASGs, solve. Instead of giving orders to each and every guard, you can group them by their job, like these are the treasury guards. Then you can write one simple rule that says, hey, only the royal court group can talk to the treasury guards group. It just makes managing all that internal security so much easier. So far, most of our security has been about reacting, blocking attacks. But a well-run kingdom isn't just about defense, it's about having clear laws. So this section is all about proactive governance, setting the rules of the land before problems can even begin. And the first, most important law is about who gets to do what. This is all handled by role-based access control, or RBAC. This is our authorization system. It's how you hand out specific jobs and keys within the kingdom. A database admin gets the keys to the database, but not the web servers. It's all about what we call the principle of least privilege. You only give people the access they absolutely need to do their job, and nothing more. And it all boils down to this really simple but powerful model. Who, what, where. The who is the user or the application. The what is their role. Are they a reader or maybe a contributor? And the where is the scope.
What specific resource does this permission apply to? A single database? A whole project? Getting this who, what, where right is just fundamental to good governance. Okay, but what about rules that aren't about people, but about the resources themselves? Well, that's where Azure Policy comes in. Think of it like a set of royal decrees for your kingdom. You can create a policy that says, all new storage has to be encrypted, or you can only deploy virtual machines in these specific regions to keep costs down. And then Azure Policy just automatically enforces those rules for you. And for your most critical assets, I'm talking the crown jewels, you need the ultimate safeguard. That is a resource lock. It's like putting a magical, unbreakable lock on something that prevents it from being accidentally deleted or changed. Even an owner, the king of the subscription, can't delete a locked resource without first intentionally removing that lock. It's just a fantastic safety net. So how do you make sure every new part of your kingdom is built to these same high standards? You use Azure Blueprints. A blueprint is basically a repeatable package that bundles everything together. Your resource templates, your RBAC roles, your policies. It's the master construction plan. So every time you need a new secure environment, you just assign the blueprint and boom, it gets built perfectly every single time. Okay, our fortress is built, the gates are guarded, the laws are in place. But a fortress is only secure if it's vigilant, right? It's time to climb the watchtower and see what's actually happening across our kingdom. This is all about monitoring and detecting threats. The guards up in our watchtower are looking for two basic types of signals: metrics and logs. Metrics are just simple numbers, like CPU usage is at 80%. They tell you the state of something right now. Logs are way more detailed. They're records of events, telling you what happened, who did it, and when, like a failed login attempt. You really need both to get the full picture. And the tool that gathers all these signals, that's Azure Monitor. You can think of it as the central nervous system for your watchtower. It pulls in metrics and logs from all your resources, analyzes them, and lets you visualize the data, create alerts, and even kick off automated actions based on what it sees. Now, if Azure Monitor is giving you all the raw signals, Azure Security Center is like the experienced captain of the guard. It's constantly assessing your defenses across the entire kingdom and boils it all down to a single, easy-to-understand, secure score. And even better, it gives you a prioritized list of recommendations on how to strengthen your security, telling you exactly which walls need reinforcing. And finally, let's talk about trust. A kingdom doesn't exist in a vacuum, right? It needs treaties, alliances, a legal framework to deal with everyone else. In the cloud, this means proving you're compliant with industry standards and regulations. And Microsoft provides a whole suite of resources just for this. The Trust Center is like your library of information on Microsoft's own security practices. The Service Trust Portal is where you go to get official audit reports to show to regulators. And the Compliance Manager is a dashboard that helps you track your own company's journey toward meeting standards like GDPR or HIPAA. These are the official treaties of your kingdom. And that brings us to our final thought. As you build more and more in the cloud, I want you to step back and just ask yourself this question. Are you strategically building a defensible fortress with layers and rules and vigilance? Or are you just putting up a random collection of buildings, kind of hoping nobody notices? The tools are all there. Building the fortress, well, that's up to you.